In celebration of Black History Month, we're putting the spotlight on Head Start pioneer and former NHSA board chairman, Ron Herndon. Ron has served as executive director of Albina Head Start in Portland, Oregon for over 4 decades. Recently, I had the opportunity to travel to Portland to speak one-on-one with Ron. Take a listen as Ron explains how growing up with racial discrimination shaped him into being the leader he is today, and how those experiences are fueling Albina Head Start's positive impact on Portland's children and families.
Head Start came out of the Civil Rights Movement. A lot of folks don't want to make that connection, but it came straight out of the Civil Rights Movement, the Civil Rights era.
One walk around Albina Head Start with Executive Director Ron Herndon, and you'll quickly realize Head Start wasn't the only thing shaped in the Civil Rights era, but so is the man you see today. Growing up in a small town in Kansas called Coffeyville, that's where Ron says the Black community there instilled lifelong values in him that he passes along to students, staff, and parents today.
Though the system is rigged against you, you are not going to give up. And we expect you to succeed, and it will take hard work, and we care for each other. So those were the values that I got at a very early age, and every institution in the community emphasized those values.
Fast forward years later, Ron was on the move to Portland to complete his higher education. After finishing college in 1970, Ron and a couple of his friends opened and ran an independent school for African American children in Portland for several years. That laid the foundation of trust between the community members of Portland and Ron, prompting Head Start parents to push Ron to be the executive director of Albina Head Start in 1975.
Head Start parents fought to get me in this position. So whatever I've been able to do, it's only because of the confidence that Head Start parents had in me. Were it not for that, I would not have been in Head Start.
Eventually, Ron became the front man for many initiatives to combat racial inequalities and discrimination at that time in Portland, such as leading the activist group, the Black United Front, and protesting at local board education meetings, fighting against forced busing of African American children out of schools in their own neighborhoods to schools in white neighborhoods. This was just one of many community success stories coming from Ron, including forming a partnership with nearby Nike, leading to the country's first Nike factory store in downtown Portland, with a percentage of sales going to community organizations. Still, Ron takes no credit.
Nobody can do this by themselves. Nobody can. And for people who like to make it think, well, I did this, not if you're talking about bringing about any kind of institutional change. It has to be a collective.
From there, the story is what you see today. Albina sets the standard in the Head Start field and what it means to be a trailblazer for innovation and school readiness. One example being their nationally recognized Mandarin dual language program. Also, what it means to be a Head Start trailblazer for social justice, although Ron may not see it that way.
At no point, at least in my mind, was there the thought that, well, in doing this, we're going to make a dent in social justice. If we do this well, then these young children will have the possibility of living more independent and fulfilling lives.
Albina Head Start continues to push the bar of innovation upward there under the leadership of Ron Herndon. Thank you to Ron and the many other Head Start champions whose legacy we are celebrating this Black History Month.